You fear it, you run from it, you imagine it lurking like a shadow behind every joy you live. But here's the truth. You've never fully realized. You will never experience your own death. It is not what you think it is. It is not an ending, but a mystery your mind cannot hold. Every person carries within them the silent terror of the unknown. From childhood, you hear whispers about death, about the inevitable curtain that will one day fall on your story. You see others pass, you attend funerals, you watch the final breath leave the chest of someone you love, and somewhere deep inside, the question arises, what about me? What will it be like when it's my turn? That question haunts billions of minds across history, but the truth is far more liberating than the fear. You will never actually experience your own death. Think about it. You only ever experience life. Every moment of fear, joy, pain, or laughter has unfolded inside this field of awareness you call me. But death is not an experience you can ever know. You cannot be conscious of being unconscious. You cannot stand outside yourself and observe your own absence. Just as you never experienced the vast emptiness before you were born, you will never experience the so-called emptiness after you die. It will not be darkness, because darkness is still something you would be there to perceive. It will not be silence, because silence still requires someone to hear it. Death is not an event you live through. It is the point at which living through ceases. When you begin to understand this, fear starts to loosen its grip. You are not marching toward an abyss that you will have to suffer through. You are flowing through moments of life that will always be experienced as life. To you, there is no such thing as not being. You will never wake up to say, here I am in death. The very thought collapses in on itself, because experience requires awareness, and awareness ends with life. That means what you fear most is not something you will ever taste. The fear of death is born from the mind's obsession with control. You cling to life as if it was slipping through your hands, terrified that one day the rope will break. But what you call death is not a cliff. It is more like falling asleep. Have you ever noticed how you never truly experience the moment you drift into sleep? One minute you are aware, the next you are gone, and when you wake, time has vanished. If you cannot even experience the exact moment you fall asleep each night, why assume you will experience the moment of death? Life is not about reaching immortality through fear. It is about realizing immortality through presence. Every breath you take is eternity condensed into a single rhythm. Every sunrise you witness is proof that life is not asking you to conquer death, but to savor being alive. Death is not an enemy lurking at the end of your story. It is the backdrop that makes your story meaningful. Without the awareness that time is finite, you would never treasure the infinite beauty of a single moment. You will never experience your own death, but you will experience your fear of it if you allow your mind to hold you hostage. Fear is not truth. It is imagination projecting itself into a future that will never exist in the way you picture it. Your imagination paints darkness, emptiness, and endings, but the one thing it cannot paint is your awareness of them. Because the truth is, there will be no you there to witness it. This realization should not sadden you, it should free you. It should open your eyes to the profound gift of being alive right now. Think about how you entered this world. You never experienced the nothingness before your birth. There was no waiting room in the void. There was no suffering of non-existence. One moment you simply appeared, crying, breathing, alive. Existence burst forth, and here you are. Why then do you believe that after death there will be some dark chamber of torment where you'll be trapped in your absence? The mind tricks you into thinking of death as an experience, but it is no more an experience than the time before you were born. And here lies the key. If you never suffered the billions of years before your birth, why would you suffer the time after your death? Life is a flash of light between two eternities of silence. But the silence is not something to fear. It is the very stage that allows the flash to shine. You are the miracle of awareness, standing against the infinite. Instead of fearing the silence beyond, celebrate the brilliance of the light you are in. You see, when you finally grasp that you will never experience your own death, something extraordinary happens. You start living more fully. You stop bargaining with time. Stop postponing your joy. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. You understand that this moment is the only reality you will ever directly know. So why waste it trembling over a shadow you can never touch? Let me ask you this. When you look back on your life, will you regret the death that came or the life you never lived? You cannot regret death because you will not be there to hold regret. But you can regret the hours spent worrying instead of living. You can regret the opportunities lost to fear. You can regret the conversations never had, the love never expressed, the risks never taken. Death itself is not your enemy. Wasted life is. Do not mistake this truth as a call to recklessness. Knowing you cannot experience your own death is not an excuse to throw away life. It is an invitation to embrace it. It is a reminder that life is precious, not because it is endless, but because it is fleeting. A flower does not bloom forever, but while it blooms, it is magnificent. So are you. So is this moment. There is another mystery hidden here. If you will never experience your own death, what truly happens when the body falls silent? Nobody can answer with certainty, because the mind cannot stretch beyond the boundaries of awareness. But isn't that liberating? The story does not have to be written in fear. You are free to imagine it as a return, as a continuation, as a merging with the infinite. But whether there is another chapter, or simply a quiet fading, one truth remains. You will not suffer your own absence. So instead of living like death is a shadow stalking you, live as though it is a teacher walking beside you. It whispers, do not waste your days. Do not cling to fear. Do not postpone your joy. Every beat of your heart is a reminder that you are still here, still breathing, still capable of laughter, still capable of love. The awareness of death should not paralyze you. It should awaken you. The only thing you ever truly have is this present moment. The past is memory. The future is imagination. But now is alive. And when you accept that your search for immortality will never be fulfilled by the mind, you release the burden of fear. You no longer ask life to promise you eternity. You allow it to give you presence. That is the only eternity you will ever need. So let go of the fear that steals your peace. You cannot experience what you call death. You will only ever experience life until life itself dissolves. And in that final moment, you will not be there to grieve, to worry, to suffer. There will only be silence, the same silence before your birth. But within that silence is no terror, only peace. You are not here to conquer death. You are here to live so fully that death becomes irrelevant. You are here to love so deeply that fear cannot rob you of joy. You are here to shine so brightly that when the light goes out, it will have already illuminated the world. Remember this, you will never experience your own death. You will only ever experience life. And that is the greatest liberation you can ever know. So live, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. You will never experience your own death because awareness cannot turn around and observe its own absence. Think about it. You can witness everything while you live. Joy, pain, laughter, silence. But you cannot witness the moment you are gone. You can be conscious of life, but you cannot be conscious of no consciousness. That's like asking a flame to watch itself go out. It's impossible. The very thought of being dead collapses because there is no you there to experience it. What you call death is not a terrifying black wall you crash into. It is simply the moment experience ceases, and with it all fear, all worry, all awareness of endings. You fear death as though it will be something you will live through, but you won't. Life ends, and with it the one who could fear or mourn it. That is why the most profound realization is not about controlling death, but about releasing fear. Fear loses its grip once you see there is nothing to go through. Death is not waiting to attack you. It is simply the vanishing of awareness, and you will not be there to suffer it. Death is not an event you live through. It is the cessation of living through. Your mind imagines death like another storm, another moment to endure. But you cannot endure absence. You cannot feel what it means not to be. You only ever experience the flowing river of life, and then the river dries up, with no one left to notice. This realization is liberating because it means death does not wait as a painful doorway. It is not something to survive, but something that never arrives in your awareness at all. The mind keeps demanding an image of death, but every image is false, because images require an observer. Without an observer, there is no experience. And so what you call death is not an experience. It is the end of all experience. Fear fades when you see this clearly, because there is nothing there to frighten you. You will never go through death as you go through storms. You will only go through life until you no longer do. Just as you never experienced the vast eternity before birth, you will never experience after death. Do you remember the billions of years before you existed? The endless silence before your first breath? Of course not, because there was no you there to remember. Life began suddenly, and awareness appeared as though out of nowhere. Why then do you assume death will be different? Why assume you will enter a dark void and suffer your absence? That absence is the same as before birth, nothingness, but not felt, not suffered, not endured. You came into existence from that silence, and when you leave, you simply return. You did not fear the billions of years before your life, and you will not fear the billions after it, because you will not be there to notice. The mind panics, imagining an eternity of emptiness, but emptiness requires awareness to know it. Without you, it is simply silence, and silence to the one who isn't there is nothing at all. Fear of death is imagination, not reality. You can only ever experience life itself. Notice how your fear lives only in thought. You project images of coffins, graves, darkness, endings, but those images are not death. They are symbols. Your mind paints in panic. Fear is nothing more than memory and imagination creating stories. Reality is here, alive, breathing. Reality is the sound of your heart beating, the air filling your lungs, the sunlight touching your skin. Death does not exist in your experience. Only life does. Every fear of death is borrowed from imagination, and imagination is not truth. Truth is this moment, and this moment is alive. By confusing imagination with reality, you chain yourself to worry. But the instant you separate the two, you see clearly. Death is not here. It cannot be felt. It cannot be experienced. What is here is only life, and the only thing you can ever know is life itself. The moment you stop fearing death, you begin living fully and without delay. Fear steals your time by making you tremble over shadows that never arrive. You hesitate, waiting for safety before you live boldly. But death is not something you'll encounter as an experience. So why let it dictate your choices? When you see death for what it is, fear evaporates, and suddenly life expands. You take risks, not recklessly, but courageously. You love without hesitation, because you know tomorrow is not promised, but you are here now. You laugh louder, because you see how fleeting this miracle is. You stop postponing joy for some day, because some day might never come. Instead of waiting, you live with urgency, but also with peace. Knowing death cannot harm you liberates you to embrace life fully. It pushes you to stop running from shadows and start dancing in the light of now. Death is not an enemy, but a teacher, reminding you to treasure every breath. Without the awareness of endings, you would not feel the depth of beginnings. Without the possibility of loss, love would not be so precious. The very knowledge that life is brief gives intensity to every moment. Death whispers, "Do not waste your days on trivial worries." It whispers, "Say the words you've been holding back, because you don't know how many chances you will get." It urges you to treat each sunrise as sacred, each laugh as priceless. Death is not here to destroy you. It is here to remind you that life is fragile, and therefore luminous. The teacher of death is not cruel. It is compassionate, because it shakes you awake. It keeps you from sleepwalking through your days. It teaches you the art of urgency and presence. And when you listen, you stop fearing and start cherishing. Wasted life, not death, is the only true loss you can suffer. Death itself is not your enemy, because you will not experience it. But wasting the life you have, that is the real tragedy. When you let fear of death stop you from living, you are already half dead. When you spend your days consumed by worry, regret, or hesitation, you bury your potential before the ground ever does. The greatest loss is not when life ends, but when life is never truly lived. You cannot lose in death, but you can lose in wasted hours, wasted love, wasted courage. Regret is a heavier burden than mortality. So instead of fearing the inevitable, fear the possibility of leaving your life unlived. Fear looking back and realizing you allowed shadows to rob you of joy. Death is not the thief, fear is. And the cure for fear is presence. Letting go of fear transforms every day into a miracle of presence. When fear dominates, life shrinks. Every moment is colored with anxiety about what will come. But when you release fear, the same moments burst alive with richness. The taste of food becomes deeper, the sound of laughter more profound, the touch of a loved one unforgettable. Presence returns when fear leaves, and presence is where life truly happens. You stop rushing through your days as though chasing something beyond them. You see that this exact moment is enough. You realize that the miracle is not in endless time, but in the depth of now. Letting go does not mean being careless. It means caring so deeply for life that fear cannot smother it. And when fear dissolves, gratitude takes its place. Gratitude turns ordinary days into holy ones. You are not here to conquer death, but to embrace life so completely that death loses meaning. Life was never about outrunning the inevitable. It was about dancing within the time you have. You are not here to win a war against mortality. You are here to burn so brightly that the idea of death cannot dim your light. The measure of your existence is not in how long you avoid death, but in how fully you live before it comes. You do not conquer death by fearing it. You conquer it by laughing in its face while you live without hesitation. You conquer it by creating memories so beautiful that endings cannot erase them. When you embrace life with open arms, death becomes irrelevant. Like the punctuation at the end of a sentence, it does not erase the story. And your story is written in how bravely and joyfully you live today. The greatest liberation is realizing you will never experience death. You will only ever experience life. That truth should not scare you, but set you free. The mind loves to cling to fear, but the soul knows peace. You are free not because life is endless, but because death will never touch your awareness. You are free because the only thing you will ever know is being alive. That freedom invites you to stop waiting, stop holding back, stop bargaining. It calls you to live boldly, to live presently, to live gratefully. It tells you that you are not moving toward a terrifying void, but simply existing in the light until the light goes out. And when it does, you will not know it. That knowledge is not grim, it is grace. Grace that releases you from fear. Grace that reminds you to live, truly live while you can.